I was a nun for 4 years. Don't be laughing.
I thought you were the Pope.
I remember that.
No. The day I became a nun, it was in the middle of January. The wind was howling, the snow was blowing. And her daughter, Ellen Rush, comes up to me. I was right in the playground over there, watching over the kids. The nuns were having their dinner right downstairs. And she comes up, she pulls on my coat, she says, "Sister Sheehan!" And I said, "Yes, what is it, Ellen?" She said, "The boys are making snowballs." So I put that in my pocket. When I went in, I said to the sisters, I said, "Well, ladies, move over. I've just become a nun." I told them the story, and it was a hoot. Had a lot of fun down here. The reason I'm here today is because I didn't want to take the blame. I got a call in the middle of the night a little while back, and I hear this voice screeching and yelling at me, and you'd give me all kinds of grief. You know, it was Gretchen. And she wanted me to come down here and act foolish, so I promised I would. So far, I haven't let you down, right, Gretch? Yeah? Well, I do a lot of things. I like to tell stories. I like history. I like what happens here. I like the 4 years
She
I
sat
worked
right
here.
across
I
from
like
us.
the people I
I
knew,
had never seen her in my life.
many of whom are moved on. And I'd like to think that anything that's any good about what I do today, I'd like to think I was doing it for them. And for that, you know, it's that old thing about if you're Irish, come into the parlor, you'll get a hearty welcome there, and so forth. I came up here in '73 to interview for the job as a nun or a school teacher, and at the time, Margaret McAvoy was on the school committee here, and her brother, I believe, Francis, rest his soul, and Rush was it? Dairy farmer, what's the name? Richard, yeah, the three of them. And Francis was all for having a man come in, and some of the older boys were acting up, and they didn't feel they were showing the sisters the kind of respect they deserved, and he thought maybe you know, some fella could go in and tame them and turn things around a little bit. And as I recall, Margaret wasn't having any of that. She wanted to, the sisters is always taught here, and the sisters would always teach here. So I knew I was up against it right from day one there. And then at the end of it, at the termination of the interview, Francis turns to me and says, "Well, Mr. Sheehan," he always called me Mr. Sheehan. Sheehan, I don't want to pronounce it. He says, "Now, how are you going to do with the sisters?" And I told him, I said, "With all respect, I think it's more of a case of what they're going to have to do with me." And I told him I had the highest regard for what they do, and I would carry out my responsibilities to the letter. And I hope I did. So I've got a bunch of silly stuff I do. Give you the first one. I don't even like to play that banjo when I'm not indoors. It doesn't carry on it. But, so I brought along something to help me out here. If I was a fancy fella, I'd have a baudrin. You know, I'd have a drum, a one-sided drum. But I'm not a fancy fella. But I got a song that I heard. I saw it on a tape recording that my uncle made right from somewhere in Ireland. They were visiting some relatives over there back in the 50s or something. And it's a song about the Irish dream of coming to America, and like so many immigrants, to walk on the streets paved with gold.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is about. Of course, a lot of the Irish worked on the canals, and they worked at every job nobody else would work at. And this is a railroad song about coming to America to work upon the railway. I'm going to sing a little of it, and then I'm going to ask you to help me out if you don't mind. It's got a little swing. In 1841 I put my corduroy breeches on. I put my corduroy breeches on to work upon the railway. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. This is your part. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, to work upon the railway. In 1842 I sailed across the ocean blue. Sailed across the ocean blue to work upon the railway. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, to work upon the railway. In 1843 the railroad foreman called to me. The railroad foreman called to me to work upon the railway. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, to work upon the railway. In 1844, I landed on this golden shore. Landed on the golden shore to work upon the railway. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, to work upon the railway. In 1800, I just saw a couple of my former students come walking in. Oh, my God! That's it, I can go, see ya. That's all I came for. Where was I? Right? Oh, in 1845 I found myself more dead than alive. Found myself more dead than alive, working on the railway. Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, working on the railway. In 1846 I found myself among the dynamite sticks. I found myself among dynamite sticks, working on the railway. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, working on the railway. In 1847, I found myself on the way to heaven. I found myself on the way to heaven, working on the railway. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, working on the railway. In 1848, listen, there's about 300 verses to this. I don't know how far I found myself at the Golden Gate. Found myself at the Golden Gate from working on the railway. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, working on the railway. Sounds a lot better when 600 people are screaming it. Oh, in 1849. Oh, I was up in heaven and feeling fine. Up in heaven and feeling fine from working on the railway. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio, working on the railway. Oh, in 1840-10. It's an Irish song. Don't be laughing now. If you want any more, I can do it again. If you want any more, I can do it again. I'm working on the railway. Hit it now. Oh, fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. Fither me, oh, Rio, Rio. I'm working on the railway. Told you, you've been getting away with murder, and I was here to put a stop to it. I think you did.
Your former students, the nuns are here.
The nuns are here.
Yeah.
The nuns.
Where?
He's saying the nuns.
Your former
Oh, the
students, the
sisters.
nuns.
Well, look at.
He'll have none of that.